Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Deal with D and J. I'm your co-host, Jacob Pro. Alongside me is the delightful DJ McCatherine. DJ, how are we this fine Sunday evening? Recording a little earlier than we're used to.
I'm doing great, Jacob. The sun's finally been out for a couple days here in Virginia after going on like a 2-week stretch of just rain and grogginess. So it's pool time. Pools are open again too. So
yeah, I see a little sun kiss moment happening for you. A little sun kiss, little tan. Me and Kara tonight went to a nice sushi place because that's what her volleyball parents gave her, like a $200 gift card. Big money, right?
Oh yeah.
And dude, this place
Top notch.
Yeah, like that. Those are one of those places of like if you need to seal the deal or it's like you're going for an anniversary, that's the place you go. Like we went, Kara had a glass of wine. I had basically a margarita, but I think it was made with like Japanese liquors. So tequila based out of Japan, things like that. I think. Could be wrong, but a lot of it is Japanese based. And then, dude, the food we had, man. First they come around, they give you a palate cleanser. They give you like this like sorbet, basically. And it was delicious. Sets up the evening beautifully. And we start off with a yellowtail in like a ponzu sauce with a peach and like little Thai chilies. Great. Then we went to a traditional sushi roll of salmon and some other stuff, cucumber, and the spicy mayo, gas. Then we had some nigiri, and we had salmon nigiri, and we had ocean trout belly, and it was that was really good. The trout belly was really good. The toro, and then after the toro came this yellowtail with fried shallot and avocado with a miso soy sauce. That was delicious. And then we had little Wagyu moment, little couple pieces of Australian Wagyu.
Okay.
On a big hot stone rock. So you cook the Wagyu on there for the guy was like, don't cook it more than like 10 seconds total. 5 on one side, 5 on the other. Pop it in, melts in your mouth, butter. So good. And then top it all off. We go to the guy working the sushi bar because that's where we were sitting tonight. And the guy we go, hey, surprise us with something. Like, we just want to be surprised for our final dish. And the guy brings out basically, I think it was yellowtail with Asian pear, apple crisps, and like some peanuts. And it basically was like sushi nachos, basically. And he grabbed it. That was like, it had some citrus. It had some brightness. It was so good. The drinks were great. The vibes were amazing. Like, amazing stuff. And then, yeah.
Sounds like you love her.
Yeah, well, I love the fact that we had $200 of gift card to work with because we used all of it and didn't pay out of pocket. So
there you go.
That was a great spot. Shout out our guy. He gave us, I don't know if he gave it to us on purpose, but we didn't get charged for the sushi nachos. So that was because it's not on the menu yet. So he gave us an off the menu order. So
a little exclusive
moment. So without further ado, DJ, Saturday night was Game 7. Probably most anticipated Game 7 in a long while in the NBA, it feels like. Most anticipated series in a long while. They lived up to the hype after that incredible Game 1. This Game 7 delivered on both sides. I thought it was a great Game 7. There's not much you can complain about, honestly. I mean, the right team won for most of the NBA fans. And the foul baiting wasn't that bad from SGA last night. I thought the refs called a pretty clean game outside of the Caruso foul. I thought Caruso should have got a flagrant one. Did you see that where he grabbed Castle and brought him down? Thought that was a flagrant one. Completely unnecessary move.
It was not at all a basketball move.
Not at all a basketball move. But overall, a relatively pretty good refereed game. Guys were hitting big shots. Momentum swung both ways. You had to watch everything because you didn't know when it was going to stop, when it was going to come back. When OKC's down, they make a run, but then the Spurs try and do something. So, DJ, talk to me about your assessment of what you felt watching the game, and then we'll break down some segments of each moment of the game here as we go.
Well, I think there's two things that highlight to me, right off the bat, is you had 7 players for the Spurs in double figures, right? Victor Wembanyama did not have to do everything. Victor Wembanyama does enough just by being on the court, right? He attracts people out of the paint when he's beyond the arc. He obviously needs 1, if not 2 people, if not 3 people when he's in the paint, right? He can basically do whatever he wants. And he didn't have to do a whole ton. He took 15 shots in this game, right? Which is the most of everybody on his team, or tied to the most. But, it's not like he took a crazy amount more like SGA did. SGA took more than double of what his starters did, or any one of his starters did. And then Chet Holmgren not showing up in this game, not playing a factor on the offensive side of the ball, really killed what I thought could be any momentum that OKC could have in this game. Because the Spurs, they allowed OKC to go on some runs, right? Especially after, I believe it was the first quarter, they were up 13 or 14. And
Yep.
by halftime, I think they cut it to 3, if I'm not mistaken. Somewhere around there.
It went okay. The Spurs opened the game with pushing the lead up to, I think, 14. And then the entire first half, OKC chopped into it. I think OKC took the lead for a second, and then the Spurs ended the second quarter going into halftime on a 7-0 run.
Yeah. So, you said the Spurs ended up on a 7-0 run.
The Spurs ended on the 7-0 run, yes.
So, but I think, looking at it, is you need Chet to be involved in this game more. And I don't think that's a hot take in any accord, but his lack of factorization into this game
disappeared. He disappeared.
It disappeared. Game. It was obvious.
He was scared, man.
There was just no momentum. Any momentum that OKC could have, right? I think he had an assist on an open look from 3, right? And he ended up getting 3 points. But we've seen Chet make these shots that he's open to taking, right? And he's just not. He's passing the ball out.
Yeah, Chet was very hesitant on Saturday night. Very hesitant in that Game 7. And there's been this unspoken rivalry between Chet and Wemby. The media's made it a bigger thing. Chet doesn't see the rivalry, but Wemby is like, I hate you. The fact that I'm being compared to you makes me sick. And he took and opened it up when Wemby went down on Chet and just yammed it in Chet's face. Chet was rattled the rest of the game. He was like, what more can I do? I think looking at Chet, I think he might be a great question mark of what do you value in a player, right? Because, you had Paolo and Chet coming out of the draft in their class, and I was a big Paolo guy. And Paolo's been if you had to pick a guy between Paolo and Chet to start your franchise, you're picking Paolo 9.9 times out of 10, right? And I think when you look at it from the standpoint for OKC, they're so talented that they don't really need Chet to do much at times, right? But you're out J-Dub and you're out AJ Mitchell, who I think if these two guys are playing in Game 7, I think we're talking about a very different Thunder team. But listen, you got to play the cards that you're dealt. The fact that Jalen Williams can't figure out ways to stay healthy is a Jay Williams problem. AJ Mitchell going down is more of an AJ Mitchell, he got dealt a bad card. But J-Dub is more like J-Dub has to figure out how to stay healthy. His injury stuff is becoming a real issue. But you don't have your second number 2 scorer on the team. Well, that's why you have Chet, right? Chet is a number 2 overall pick for this reason. He has that dog in him. He's always been that guy. We saw it in Gonzaga. We saw it in U20 USA. He's always been this incredible elite scorer. And looking at it now, it's he was a scared puppy dog, man. He got yammed on one time. He made a nice shot afterwards, but then it was he passed up the open 3. He slipped on the floor. Like, the Thunder coach, I'm not even going to pronounce his last name. I'll butcher it. But, like, he opted for Jared McCain instead of Chet Holmgren. You know what I mean? So, like, what is that? That tells you how the game plan was going. I also will say, if it wasn't for Case Wallace hitting those threes, going toe-to-toe with the Spurs, like, I will say, I loved Shea's press conference because Shea admitted defeat. He was like, they were the better team. And he admitted how the game went. He goes, every time we try to get on a run, man, they hit tough shots. Keldon Johnson hit 2 big threes. And then Dylan Harper in the fourth quarter, I think with about 5-ish minutes left, you know, shot clock's running down, step back, doesn't get a lot of elevation on a shot. 3 in your face, right? You know, Dylan Harper, again, goes and cleans up a rebound. Stephen Castle goes and cleans up a rebound. And I give so much credit to Castle and Harper in their first Game 7, getting mauled up the court when it was crunch time for the Thunder. No turnovers or no major turnovers. You know, not like Castle cleaned it up. And Harper is incredible. One of, like, again, the Spurs, unbelievable roster, unbelievable scouting and drafting. And credit both ways. SGA did everything he could last night. 35 points, shot amazing too, dude. Got to his spots and did some crazy things. But I think there's probably 2 key moments you can look at if you're the Thunder of question marks of why you didn't execute the game the way you did, which is, I think, one, Chet is the one question mark, right? What if you get 15 points from Chet Holmgren? What does that look like instead, right? And the second one is, why didn't you attack Wembanyama with 5 fouls with like 5 minutes to go? You know what I mean? I don't know, like, did you watch the game last night? I know you had work, but like, were you able to see bits and pieces?
I was able to catch some clips and glimpses
So
of it.
I want you to be a coach. Just be a coach. Be a basketball guy here for me, DJ.
Yeah.
Let me set the scene for you. Wembanyama gets his 5th foul. You weren't able to get him out of the game on his 5th foul because the opposing team missed the free throw, right? So you got to go offense without getting Wemby with 5 fouls out of the game. Thunder go and drive. Somebody else fouls, and you make the swap. Now you have Luke Cornett in. For 45 seconds, they kept Luke Cornett in. They try to bring the ball up. They try to give it to Cornett. Hartenstein, tipped the ball away, went on a fast break, went up to elevate. Luke Cornett blocked at the rim, goes back the other way and layup. 4-point swing. Now, I think at this point you're looking at like a 7-point ball game, give or take. For those listening, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less at this point, but 7 points seems like the right range. You bring back in Wembanyama, guy with 5 fouls, with 5 minutes and 45 seconds left in the game in a 7-point ball game. What should be your first thing you want to try and do if you're the Thunder?
I mean, it's a lame question. You're just going to attack. You're attacking Wembanyama. You're trying to get him to draw a foul.
Now.
Try to get him to pump fake, trying to get him up in the air, try to get him with his hands up, and then jump into him.
That's where I think the Thunder messed up because Wembanyama comes back in, DJ, and it was never a question of if Wembanyama was ever going to like contest anything. The Thunder avoided him at all costs. Casey Wallace had a 2-on-1 opportunity against, I think it was him against Wembanyama, and there was somebody else going to the corner. If I'm Casey Wallace and this guy's got 5 fouls and he's the lifeblood of the team, like, it's Wembanyama, man. Drive into him. What's the worst? Either you get your shit packed, right? Or you draw a foul, get him out of the game, or you make the bucket in transition, get some momentum. Yep. Instead, what does Casey Wallace do? He wants no part of it, swings it to the corner, 3-pointer, they miss. Casey Wallace, again, went into the lane, and Wembanyama's there, and Casey Wallace just ran right back out. And I think what killed the Thunder, too, was because they left Chet in for so long, Wembanyama was like, I don't have to worry about this dude because this dude's effing rattled. So he was just, like, giving it, like, Chet was just in the corner like this, and Wembanyama was on the block, dude. Like, he paid no attention to Chet. And so, like, I think it was just a poor game plan, a poor miscommunication in coaching. But also, I feel like that's like basketball 101. Guys in foul trouble, you attack the guy in foul trouble. Yeah. Especially if it's the number one option on the team. You know? So I think for the Thunder, man, I think it's just strategy. Just you guys threw it out the window. You guys kind of were like, And even SGA didn't even attack Wemby too. Like I would love to have seen SGA attack Wemby, but I think Wemby also backed off and gave SGA space and was like, "I dare you to shoot this mid range." Kind of like a cat and mouse game, a chess match between two greats, and the better team won collectively as a team. I also love that there was this like the fact that Vassell just went up and hit this like emphatic dunk with 4 seconds left with the game in hand. Love that. Love Wembanyama's emotion. I loved everything about these guys' care. And you could see like they wanted to beat the Thunder. They were sick of these guys. They were jokes. And it ain't sweet, bro. It ain't sweet. And I'm glad the Thunder, they're laughing. They're like nonchalantness. Get it out of here. I'd rather have Wembanyama's emotion than Shea just being like,
well, I think for a lot of fans and a lot of people in the NBA, it just doesn't seem like anything is called fairly against them either. So when you finally feel like you've earned it too, like everything in game one was earned, right?
Yeah.
I think even the losing team, you've got to be like, we gave it our best shot. Like, what are you going to do? I mean, what? And didn't Wembanyama score 40-something points in that game?
Yeah. Also, in that fourth quarter, Wembanyama only made 1 3. He didn't shoot the rest of the night. He just played defense, and, like, the guys around him made up for, like, Wembanyama.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you've got 2 players in 20-plus. You've got, I said, all 5 of their starters are in double digits, and then they have 2 people on the bench in double digits. That's hard to beat. And I made this hot take the other day, right? And
Champagnie being 6 of 10 from 3 is great.
That's amazing. Like, you can't. It's not. You have to have a LeBron game 1 against the Warriors type of performance to beat that type of statistical game from Champagnie. But I mean, I'm going to move forward with this going into the Knicks Spurs series, the final series. But it's going to stay on point with what I want to talk about, which is I had a hot take, or allegedly was a hot take, that said, I don't think Victor Wembanyama has to do everything under the sun for this Spurs team to win. I think his presence alone on the court draws enough. And then if you have games like this, like, yes, Victor Wembanyama took 22 points, and those are big points. But, like, that's not him doing everything. It's not. You could take away 10 of those points, and then the Spurs are still in this game. Maybe somebody else hits a couple extra shots. Maybe if Castle turns the ball over 2 less times, that the Spurs...
The Spurs are the epitome of just well-coached basketball, man. With Pop. And Pop has still had a major role in this team, even though he's been sick. Like, Pop is still a major piece of this organization. Like... And I think there's so much, like, beauty and grace in that the fact that, like, they value Greg Popovich. Basically, like, he is the godfather. Yeah. Like, he speaks, you listen, no matter what. So, like, especially with after the stroke, and he had to stop coaching, and Mitch Johnson stepped in. Like, the Spurs team has been great. And for the Thunder, you got some question marks. Because I think they got, like, 5 or 6 contracts up for... like 5 or 6 team options. Like, I think they got Dort, Hartenstein, Cason Wallace, Aaron Wiggins, some other people. Like, they got a lot of dudes up on the free agency block. I think McCain's on a player option as well. So a lot of things going on for the Thunder that they got to figure out. But the Thunder are going to be just fine. For those trying to say it's the end of a dynasty, I'm not going to go that far yet.
Not a dynasty. First, not a dynasty.
It wasn't ever a dynasty. We try to crown it early, but like, you got to go win. You got to get the back-to-back finals and go win back-to-back trophies. Now, if they win 2 in 3 years in our consecutive 1 seeds, maybe we could start that convo. But we got to be careful with this dynasty word, because that's, they're not like Golden State. Golden State was that's probably, OKC has a chance to be that, but only history will tell us if they're a dynasty, but not right now. But Let's dive into the NBA Finals now. The New York Knicks versus San Antonio Spurs. Game 1 is in San Antonio, as they are the higher seed. Good for basketball, man. That, like, you got one of the most underrated historic franchises in San Antonio against probably the second most historic franchise in the NBA with the New York Knicks. Like, you could maybe argue the Lakers,
3.
but
Probably 3. They're probably more
Yeah.
relevant, maybe a little bit now.
Yeah,
But
I just think it's so good for basketball that they're in the finals. I think it's good
yeah,
for the
that's the long
sport.
story short for
Like
sure.
you get MSG in a finals game. Like you're gonna have all the superstars are gonna be courtside. Like the pressure, the lights have never been brighter on Broadway on Madison Square Garden. The marquee is gonna say NBA Finals Game 3 and 4. Like where else do we go from here? Right? So
Right.
we talked about the Spurs at nauseum a little bit here. So let's talk about the Knicks and how we think they stack up against the Spurs. You got Jalen Brunson playing at a MVP level performance right now. He can put the team on their back. Like these teams play both really good team ball. I think it goes back to what I said all postseason is what version of Karl Anthony Towns are you going to get? Right? Are you going to get a guy who's a playmaker, who's going to be the secondary scorer, maybe number 3 scorer for your team, give you some quality minutes with Brunson, or is he going to be the facilitator, crash, get guys open, kind of working the offense with Brunson and Tatum in tandem, and you get some key facilitators like OG, Bridges, Hart, Shamet coming off the bench has been absolutely crucial for this team. Right? Mitchell Robinson, is he going to be fully healthy? What version of that is going to happen? Like, where do you go from here? So I think Karl Anthony Towns is probably the biggest question mark in terms of, like, I think he's, we talked about X factors, right? I kind of predicted Mitch Marner to be an X factor in the Vegas series, and he was, and he swept the Avalanche. If the Knicks want to have a chance at winning this series, it is going to be Karl Anthony Towns, and it's probably have to be Josh Hart or Landry Shamet hitting 3-pointers. Because I think they're going to do the Wemby, hey, chill in the paint, don't worry about Josh Hart, and hit him with the Luke Cornett, jump in the air, both hands up, like, shot. So I think those are probably the 2 biggest guys. I'm more in the boat that, like, if Karl Anthony Towns comes through with some pretty massive games and is, maybe defensively taking on Wemby a little bit out of the game and forcing him to be a stretch 5 and push it, I think that's going to put New York in a really good position. Or if Josh Hart hits, let's just say he hits 5 out of 9 threes, Case and Wallace style, and Wemby has to go respect it, and the offense can flow, I like that more. But if it turns into the Jalen Brunson show in clutch time, that's a roll of the dice that I think the Knicks are willing to take. I don't know if that's going to work out with Steven Castle all over you. So that's where I'm like, the Knicks, the things need a break for the Knicks a little bit more, but they proved it all postseason. So, DJ, talk to me a little bit about what you're seeing here for the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it right on the nail on the head there, Jacob. Anthony Towns needs to have his moments in this game. He needs to show why he's a veteran on this roster. He needs to show that he can stretch the floor, and he's going to need to stretch the floor in order to get everybody on the offense involved. What scares me the most for the Knicks, it's their bench. It's starting to slim out more and more as these playoffs go on. You made the comment about how well that they've done in this postseason. I'm sorry, their postseason has been fairly easy. Like, I know the Cavs were on a good roll there. I liked the Cavs series, and they dismantled them, right? But you're going up against a different breed in efficiency when it comes to this Spurs team, right? Like, you're going to have players that hit their shots on this Spurs team. And, if they're on, right, you're not going to have a James Harden. There's not really an in particular person on the Spurs that you attack on the offensive side if you're the Knicks, right? Like, you're not making switches all around unless you're taking Jalen Brunson on Wembanyama and you're clearing out down low, hoping that, he can get around him, right? So that's I really think the Knicks are outskilled in this matchup. I think the depth scares me for the Knicks, and I hope they overcome it all. Like, I'm kind of rooting for the Knicks. I'd kind of like to see New York back on top, especially given that I think this Spurs team is one built to stay longer. You're going to have that kind of dynasty type of roster, right? But I'd like to see the Knicks come through. Jalen Brunson's going to have to stay on his mountaintop, right? And he's going to have to be the most efficient person on the floor. And then he's going to have to rely on Cat for boards. And then if Mitchell comes back, Mitchell Robinson, is that the name I'm thinking? He injured his pinky?
Yep.
I hope he plays through that. If he doesn't play through that, or they don't find a way to get him on the floor, I think this is going to be a really difficult series for the Knicks. And then you have a guard. Hold on, I'm pulling up names here. You have guards like Castle guarding Brunson. Like you have big guards guarding defensively efficient guards on Jalen Brunson. I think it's just going to be a mess. There are going to be walls everywhere on this Knicks team.
And the Spurs just match up so well to everybody.
Well, they're greatly sized. No one's too tall to get around, and no one's too small to shoot over, right?
I mean, Wemby is huge. A boy's got 8-foot wingspan.
Again, but you're talking about the alien in the NBA, right?
I think when you look at the Spurs and the Knicks, they on paper match up really well, right? Brunson's a better point guard than Castle. Wemby's the best player in the series. But, I think it comes down to it's basketball. Who hits the shots? Who's the unsung hero? Right? For the Spurs, Wemby only had 3 points in the fourth. It was De'Aaron Fox slowing the game down, taking some necessary risks, right? Mm-hmm. Dylan Harper, Keldon Johnson, Champagnie, they can beat you in so many ways, and I think New York relies on their starting five a lot. I don't know a team in the NBA that relies more on their starting five than I think them. So, I don't the Spurs. You're looking at the bench here, Keldon Johnson. I gotta pull up back the box score because I was looking at Knicks stuff. But the Dylan Harper and Keldon Johnson had double-digit time, and I don't know if the Knicks are going to exactly do that with anybody outside of Shamet and McBride. Maybe Alvarado to match the defensive intensity, but that's also I don't know if that's a risk you need to take to have Alvarado play 15 minutes in a game. So
right.
The Spurs have been my pick all postseason. I'm taking the Spurs in 6.
Yeah, I am unfortunately thinking that that's going to be the way that it goes. It could be even quicker again if Mitchell Robinson is in. But I look at players like Jordan Clarkson. You said Alvarado. I can't see this team really kicking air. I can't see the Knicks folding over. I think that's where we kind of see this going off. I think they attack Josh Hart. I think of all players on this starting five, I think they attack Josh Hart. OG Anunoby might be a good matchup on Wemby. Really, Wemby's definitely taller, right? But it has length. But OG and that could be a pretty good battle down there. McCall Bridges has some length on him to match up to Castle or Champagnie.
Shamet. Oh, Champagnie, yeah.
Yeah. So I think I'll go Spurs in 6. Does that bring them back home? No, that puts them at Knicks in game 6. The Garden would be not the Garden. Madison Square Garden would be freaking hopping for a game 6, bro.
If the Knicks win the NBA championship, New York City's just Gotham. The scene from Batman, the newest Batman movie, when the city's just underwater, that's going to be New York if they win a championship. So.
Oh yeah, no,
I hope for the sake of the NBA, you get a couple. You need some competitive games. I don't need what the Spurs Thunder was, which is great game 1, really good game 7. I want a great game 1, a really good game 3. And give me a competitive game 5 and 6, and if the series is decided in that window or 5 and 6, I want it to be competitive. And if we get to 7,
like OKC Pacers last year.
Yeah,
it's just. So I mean, those were two smaller markets, and I understand why they didn't. It wasn't marketed that, but that was great basketball last year.
It was great basketball. It was just the Pacers. I just don't think that anyone was ready for the Pacers. Because they were just the 5 seed. But basketball, man. Let's touch on the NHL Stanley Cup Final. You got the Vegas Golden Knights, who swept the Colorado Avalanche in surprising fashion, and the Carolina Hurricanes taking down Montreal 5-1. Before I talk about, this is Jacob Soapbox time. I was texting it to you.
Yes.
The NHL seeding is messed up, right? Colorado and Montreal, respectively, had to go through the number 2. Montreal had to go through the number 2 overall Eastern Conference seed and the number 3 overall seed. And Colorado had to go through the number 2 and number 3 overall seeds as well. And they get demolished in the conference finals because they went to war. Like, Montreal had 2 game 7s against Buffalo and Tampa. And Colorado took on a Minnesota team that got dinged up playing Dallas, you know? Like, the seeding is messed up. Vegas played the number 7 and number 8 respective team, and Carolina played the number 7 and number 8 respective teams in their sides of the conference. So, the seeding is messed up. They need to fix it because, like, Colorado-Vegas is good, but, like, Vegas also, like, really shouldn't be in it either. Vegas only had 39 regulation wins. There, I think, are 5 teams on the Eastern Conference who have more wins than Vegas. I think the Sharks had the same amount of wins as Vegas and missed the playoffs completely because Vegas just kept getting overtime wins. The point system is messed up. It's all messed up. Like, it used to be a 3-2-1 system, which was 3 points for a win, 2 points for an overtime win, 1 point for an overtime loss, no points for losing. Now it's just a 2-2-1-0 system. So if you win, no matter how you win, you get 2 points. But if you go to overtime, there's a magical third point that gets distributed to the losing team. Instead of it being you play for 3 points, you go to overtime, you each get a point. You're playing for the winning point to go 2-1. So I think the system's messed up. Conversation for another day, but Vegas, Carolina here. As quickly as I can kind of go through this, Carolina's a buzzsaw. They forecheck incredibly hard. They make you so uncomfortable. And the way to describe it is the way Carolina plays hockey is like a Mike Leach offense. It is just air raid, run and gun, points, no huddle. North Texas was the same way this past year with just a million yards. Like, they're like the way they just bludgeon you to death. Like, shots. Like, if you don't jump on them early, you're not winning. And Dubas was one of the hottest goalies in this playoffs. Carter Hart's been really good lately, but like, this Carolina team is a difference maker. Very different. They got the star guys doing stuff. They got the underrated guys doing stuff. Right? They got Jackson Blake doing stuff. They got Stankoven. They got Taylor Hall, Aho. You know, the list goes on with Gostisbehere and Kendre Miller, and Freddie Anderson's playing amazing hockey as well because he's not seeing a ton of shots because all the other shots are on the other end of the ice because Carolina keeps the puck over there. So it's a really good recipe, but Vegas is a big team, man. If you wanted to like compare it in a football sense, they're I formation, run it down your throat, big physical fullback has a neck roll, like hitting you.
Like mid-2000s Wisconsin type of.
Monty Ball, Melvin Gordon, James White, Wisconsin, running the ball down your gullet. Like, you know, I wouldn't want to say it's, you know, like Army or the academies running the triple option, but it's old-fashioned, man. Like, they're big, they're strong, like, they cycled the puck really well, and then they got a couple flashy guys, you know, a couple speedsters, a couple, like, you know, they're kind of like the New England Patriots a little bit. Not a lot of guys. They have some really big names like Marner and stuff, but they just play really good, clean hockey. And they're strong and they're tough to beat, right? Because like Marner and like Eichel's not Tom Brady, but he's quarterback in the team with Mark Stone. You know, Marner and Diaforev are like Edelman and Walker. And then you have like a couple Gronkowskis on the defense and a couple big bodies like Barbashev. And they're just really well coached by Tortorella. If I had to make a prediction, DJ, it's tough to go against Vegas, but I'm taking Carolina in 7. I think it goes 7. Carolina, I think outdoes some things. And I just think it's Carolina's time. They got over the hump of getting out Eastern Conference Finals. So to me, I'm like, if you got over that massive hump, go win the cup. Do it all. So I'm taking Carolina in 7 here.
I was curious, Jacob. These teams look to be very offensively efficient, right? They look like they both score the puck really well. Who needs to stand out more than anybody, whether that's, a star player or just a role player, in order to, give their team the edge? Like, I know you picked Carolina in 7, but who needs to step up for Vegas in order to ruin that? And then who steps up to put Carolina in the position for them?
Yeah, I think for Vegas, I think you got to look from a big game from probably your bottom 6. Like, I don't know if Barbashev classifies as a bottom 6 guy, but like that's a guy that comes to mind is Barbashev. He's a guy that like can really dictate anything that he wants in the game. Physically incredibly strong, mucks it up in the corners, and it makes life really hard for your team. Trying to pull up their roster here to make sure I don't miss anybody. Like Barbashev in this playoff has had 12 points, so he's already a pretty big contributor, but he's had 5 goals, 7 assists. I think that needs to continue. If we're looking a little bit further down, like I think you're looking at a guy like Nick Dowd, who had a great game against Colorado. He did some of these things, DJ, that don't show up in the stat sheet, right? Mm-hmm. Colorado was like pressing Vegas to try and, I think, tie the game up, and they dumped the puck down trying to get an icing. And Colorado takes kind of their foot off the gas, expecting like no one to contest, and Nick Dowd contests the puck and wins. And instead of Colorado maybe getting another 3 or 4 chances, Colorado now has to re-enter the zone, lose another 30 seconds, and like has to set up the entire offense now. All because Nick Dowd did that. So I think a guy like Nick Dowd for Vegas, he's going to do things that you don't see on the stat sheet that are going to be momentum changers for this series. But in terms of a bigger name guy, like Mitch Marner's been sensational, but I think Barbashev is going to be a big role. Obviously, Carter Hart is going to do what he does there. But for Carolina, man, who to step up? I mean, Logan Stankoven was a major piece of the Dallas Stars organization, and they traded him for Mikko Rantanen, right, in that massive trade. And, like, Logan Stankoven is the leading goal scorer for the team. He has 9 goals. Taylor Hall has 16. Jackson Blake has 15 points. This kid he played hockey at North Dakota, was a stud. He has been pivotal for this team in big moments. Him and Taylor Hall crashing the net. Excuse me. Seth Jarvis has to continue. Nikola Ehlers, he had some big moments in Winnipeg. I'm waiting for a big moment from Nikola Ehlers. And I think if you're looking at for Carolina to have a really good brand of success, Nikola Ehlers is going to have an impact on this series in one way or another. Sebastian Aho is going to do what he does. Kendrick Miller has been really good. Svechnikov has been great. Gostisbehere. We can go on. But I'm looking at, again, bottom 6 guys. Martinook, Carrier, and Janikowski have been really good guys that don't do crazy things on the stat sheet. But Nikola Ehlers, if they're going to win this series, he's got to have a big point in a big part of the game plan, whether that's scoring, assists, or laying his body on the line to block shots in key moments. So that's where I'm kind of leaning towards in that sense for Carolina.
Yeah, and that's a perfect segue to my last question for you, Jacob.
Conn Smythe winners for both teams, which is the MVP. If Marner goes crazy, Marner will win Conn Smythe even if they lose, because he has 21 points already in the playoffs. So Marner, if he goes nuts and they lose, Marner, no questions asked. But if Vegas wins and Marner kind of just is middling, I think you're looking at Eichel or Shea Theodore or Marner. And for Carolina, I think you're looking at Jackson Blake, Sebastian Aho, or honestly, Taylor Hall. Those 3 guys. DJ.
Yeah. First, I have I may have a skill issue here. What's the difference between a point and a goal?
Point is either assist or goals. And a goal. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you. So, you had mentioned goalies to end that one rant here. You've got 2 goalies here who have been at the top of their game, in the grand scheme of the playoffs, right? both Carter Hart and Frederick Anderson, right? Frederick?
Yep.
Frederick.
Yep.
Frederick.
Freddie.
Yeah. You've talked about the aspect of goal switching, maybe momentum, some mental game for opponents trying to switch things up. We talked about one team had a rookie come in, right? I know that's not any of these two teams, but you mentioned that with Montreal had a rookie come in. If I see it, fuck knowledge. And then on the other side, just for skating leaders, you've got three of the top scorers for Vegas in the entire playoffs, with Strankoven being smack in the middle of the three, right? What gives one the edge over the other? Like if I'm looking at these sheets and I'm looking at the two goalies, right? I think again, I'm not watching these games in their entirety, but Anderson looks like the better goalie. But it looks like Vegas has a lot more ways to kill you in this matchup. Yeah. Can you give me a slight breakdown of kind of that analysis? Just because I look at this and I'm like, Vegas looks like they can score at will.
Yeah, Vegas can definitely score at will, but so can Carolina. Carolina is never dead. The one thing I will say that's deceiving about goalie numbers is goal against average is more of a team sport, and save percentage is more telling of a goalie, which is one, how many pucks are getting through and how many are you saving. And Freddie has a 9.31 save percentage and Carter Hart has a 9.24. But Freddie allows less goals on average because his team is not allowing as many opportunities. So you add in not allowing many opportunities and a really good save percentage, I think that leans towards Freddie Anderson. Freddie Anderson has stolen games. He stole some from Philly. He stole some from Ottawa. Like, they demolished Montreal, so it wasn't even close. Like, he gave up. They got burned in the first game, but Carter Hart, I personally don't think should be in the NHL. He had a situation that I know he was technically cleared of it, but it's not a situation that, like, you can truly let go. If you understand what I'm saying. Deuce, you do your research on Carter Hart in your own time. I don't want to misspeak on him, but they both are really good goalies. I think if you're talking about a guy who can steal you games, it's going to be Carter Hart. Like, I think Freddie is more consistent. He's been in these moments. Carolina's relatively young and inexperienced in the Stanley Cup realm versus Vegas, and a lot of these guys are on their third cup run with this Vegas team. Like Stone and Barbashev is on his second go around. But Carter Hart, if he gets hot, man, there's nothing Carolina can do to get past Carter Hart. Bar for bar, like save for save, Carter Hart can do it better than Freddie Anderson. But Freddie Anderson is stoic. Is one better than the other? Just depends on what you're looking for. Carter Hart's a little bit more aggressive. Freddie's a little bit more reserved. There's pros and cons to both. But if I had to pick a goalie to go win me a game, I'm going to probably pick Carter Hart over Freddie Anderson. If that's an indictment on how you want to pick your series.
I think, for the vibe of it and for the contest of you, Jacob, I'm going to pick Vegas. I think based on everything that you've told me and how these playoffs have gone, I think I like a 7-game series here. I think it's going to be heavy hitting. I really do. I like how these teams score. I like the defense on them. I don't know. Should it be my expectation that these games are like higher scoring, or should it be lower scoring? Because, is it any given night?
It is any given night. You can have a 2-1 game. You can have a 7-8 game. You can have a 5-4 game. You don't really know. These teams are so good scoring-wise that you really don't know what's going to happen for them. So, with that being said, I'm sticking to Carolina in 7. You're taking Vegas. Funny enough, I'll be in Vegas next week for a conference, so I'm going to go to a Game 4 watch party while I'm there. Don't got the money to go to a game unless somebody listening has an extra ticket. This guy would love to go, but I'll go to a watch party and see what the Vegas fans are like, I guess. See what the vibes are.
Right? That'd be cool.
It would be cool. So let's dive in, DJ. College baseball going on. Nuts first round. First off, so the way the regionals work, DJ, because we were kind of discussing this off air. The way it works, there's a winner bracket and a loser bracket. You have your opening round games, 1v4, 2v3, right? If you win your game, you play in the winner bracket. If you lose, you're on the verge of elimination, double elim. So now we're in the last day where basically, so I don't like the format of it because it forces a team who's on the verge of elimination to force them to play a doubleheader, which is like a good or a bad thing. Excuse me. But man, we had some chaos, right? Let's start with the biggest storyline. UCLA out, number 1 overall seed, second year in a row that the number 1 overall seed does not make it out of the regional. The first round regional doesn't make it to Supers. Last year was Vanderbilt. This year it was UCLA. And the bullpen for UCLA sucked. They got trounced. They gave up home runs, big hits. And then the UCLA bats have never been colder. I don't think they've experienced cold like this in their entire life. Crazy stuff, especially because they had the projected number 1 overall pick in Rock Chalosky. But yeah, UCLA got bounced. Some other crazy stuff. Southern Miss got bounced as well. UALR is currently up 4-2, and it has an opportunity to win the Hattiesburg Regional as a 4 seed. So a lot of crazy stuff going on. Nebraska got bounced earlier. We're looking at Troy took out Miami and stole a game against Florida. Ryder put Florida on the ropes, and Florida hit a walk-off. West Virginia scored 5 today to beat Kentucky to send it to a do-or-die game. Tennessee got bounced by VCU. Georgia Tech got smoked by Oklahoma today, and everyone thought Georgia Tech was basically unstoppable. St. John's put up 21 on Northern Illinois. Yeah, Texas looks unstoppable. Bats got hot. North Carolina dominated their regional and moved on. We still got a lot of games going on as the time of this recording. The only teams that have advanced to Supers as of this moment is North Carolina, Texas, and Kansas as just 3 teams who have advanced. And Georgia are the 4 teams who have advanced to Supers so far.
Yeah, we got a couple of big games on Monday already set.
Yep.
You know, Georgia Tech, Oklahoma is a do-or-die game. Troy and Florida is also a do-or-die game. And then Kentucky
West
and
Virginia.
West Virginia. And Kentucky are a do-or-die game.
As of this moment, it looks like, based on the scores, obviously things can go crazy. That looks like USC and Texas A&M are going to probably play. So you're looking at that. Cal Poly is going to win the LA Regional, the Cal Poly Demons. They're not the Demons, but I just love calling them the Cal Poly Demons. Alabama, Oklahoma State are currently tied in extra innings.
They're in 11 right now.
Same with Arizona State, Ole Miss. Arizona and Oklahoma State are fighting to keep their regional hopes alive. And Mississippi State is more than likely going to advance, as well with Oregon taking down Oregon State to move on. But Jacksonville State giving Little Rock a little hard time here in the bottom of the 7th. And then we have the Milwaukee Panthers. And then we got the Milwaukee Panthers who smoked Auburn. They're in the top of the 2nd. Auburn's up 1-0. But chaos. Pure chaos. Squeeze play is a great thing. Kansas's bats got hot, took down a red-hot Arkansas team. I was super impressed with that Kansas team, as I did not pick Kansas. If you followed Hammered and Homers, I gave my regional picks there. I think as of this moment in time, I am 3 out of 4 as of this moment in time, with Kansas being the only team that I did not get right. But I picked Miami in the Gainesville Regional, so that's gone. I picked Southern Miss, so that's also gone. But I got some other dogs here fighting to get out. So we shall see how I ultimately fare in my ball knowledge. But this might be crazier than day 1 of the NCAA men's basketball tournament, DJ, with the way some of these games go.
Yeah. I mean, momentum is crazy in baseball, man. Like, getting the starting pitcher out early, and when bats are hitting or bats are rolling, you know, anything can happen. Anything can happen at that point. And it can change in an instance. It really can.
It really can.
So
it really can.
I just watched St. Mary's do it with UCLA right here. I mean, it was a great game. And the bats just died for UCLA, and then their pitching went down. You walk a couple players, you know, momentum swings. Only takes a couple of hits. St. Mary's tied it at in the bottom of the 9th. They were one out away, and a nice little dinker over the first baseman's head. Actually, it was a bouncer. It was just a high bounce over first base. You know, it's just,
I think Florida State and St. John's have to play their like regional elimination game tomorrow for Florida State. And so if Florida State beats St. John's, here's the thing: when this episode comes out, we'll know. So, but we're doing a little make your own adventure right now.
yeah, right.
So like it'd be cool to see St. John's, a little New York team up there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, DJ, do you got a dog? Do you got a team that you're like really rooting for? Because I'm kind of in on the North Carolina team right now. That's my team. But are you?
Dare I say that that's a shocker?
Well, it's them and Arkansas were my two ride or dies, and I think I'm gonna go to the Texas Super Regional this weekend on Friday. So I'll go to game 1, document that.
Cool.
But yeah, DJ, do you got a dog in the fight?
I unfortunately don't have a dog in the fight. I love watching just some good baseball. You know, I'm a Big Ten fan. You know, I liked seeing Eastern Carolina, or I love watching East Carolina in these games. You know, I'm an all-time Florida hater, so I like watching. Florida's a great team to watch, though. I'm a big Coastal Carolina fan, but they're eliminated. You know, there's nobody that screams to me. You know, Big Ten doesn't have a great showing in these baseball tournaments. Nebraska was going to be fun to watch, but I like the little guys. You know, I like St. Mary's. St. Mary's goes on to play UC something.
St. Mary's is playing Cal Poly right now.
Cal Poly, and that's
Also-
a championship game.
Also, as of this moment in time, Alabama is up 3 on Oklahoma State.
Nice little dinger, I'm assuming. So I'll probably be rooting for the little guy in this tournament. I don't have one just yet, though. I'll probably have to wait till the supers come out, and then I'll start locking down who I'm kind of rooting for. But I mean, it's wide open, so who knows?
Well, DJ, last little bit. FIFA World Cup's just coming up. Just need to tell the people to be prepared. But without
Make sure you have your traffic routes. Make sure you know your traffic routes.
If you live in those major cities, be prepared. Be prepared. It is going to be bad. There's an influx of people who have never visited your city before. Be
And
prepared.
they're renting vehicles.
Renting vehicles, Ubers, hotels, restaurants. Just be prepared for a city to get influxed if you're in a major city. So, with any other things left, DJ, he's been the delightful DJ McCatherine. I have been your co-host, Jacob Pearl. We have been to Deal with D&J. Like, comment, share, subscribe on all platforms. See you next time, dealers.